a workday shutdown ritual. So 4:30, a little alarm pops up on my computer, begin shutting down, clear out the inboxes, turn off all notifications, and kind of prepare to go home to the real job really begins, I think, when you walk in the door at home. So I take off my Apple Watch, put it on Do Not Disturb. I power off my iPhone, put it in my backpack, so that when I'm home, I really try to be home and everything else can wait till tomorrow. You work hard during the day when it matters most, and then you work even harder when it matters the real most when it comes to, being there with your friends and family.
Welcome to Real Estate to Freedom, the podcast that helps you create the active life you've always wanted through passive income investments. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Nate and Becky Lambert.
Nick, welcome. Thank you so much. I have met quite a few people from Rise48 at a variety of different conferences. I thought I had met you, but I'm not sure if I had met you before or not.
I don't think we have yet, but I got to meet your husband, so I'm excited to get to know you a little bit too.
Well, it's nice to officially meet you, Nick. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, how you got into real estate, more of what is your story?
Yeah, awesome. So I was actually in college ministry for over 15 years, developing leaders amongst university students here in the Twin Cities. So I
Hmm.
live in White Bear Lake, Minnesota, and we loved our job. It was really fun mentoring students. Part of mentoring students is they'd go on these summer adventures, summer trips, and they would look for funding. My wife and I wanted to be generous, so we looked for a way to help be generous. So we tried a lot of different side hustles, charging scooters downtown, all kinds of crazy things to earn extra cash. But we kind of learned that eventually you're just trading your time for dollars. So I
Hmm.
got on the bigger pockets train and started learning about single family and buying a house to house hack. So we purchased a duplex. We went to seven banks. They all said no. The eighth bank said yes. And we took out basically a reverse mortgage on the best asset we had at the time, which was our Honda CRV. And we got into a duplex with a business partner 50-50. We each earned $600 a month passive cash flow. This house was right across the street from our house. So I'd often find myself walking over there during nap time of the kids with my baby monitor, fixing stuff, cutting the grass, shoveling snow, whatever it may be. And as we started having more kids, it just became more challenging to manage that property and a few other properties that we acquired. So we were looking for a way to go passive. Now we thought what we were doing was passive, but then we really learned about commercial real estate syndication. So I joined a community, got a coach, really learned underwriting, figured out, there's two ways to really make money in the commercial real estate syndication world, either finding the deal or raising the capital. I really liked educating people. I was proficient in, managing subcontractors, flipping units, that whole thing in asset management, but I wasn't passionate about it. What I was really passionate about is how can I help people learn to multiply their money so they can multiply their impact? So many people have dreams 5, 10, 15 years down the road, but they don't know how to get there. So a big part of being a capital raiser is letting people tell their story. What do they dream about doing? And then providing a vehicle through investing in passive real estate syndications where they could actually achieve those dreams to get out of the grind of whatever they're doing or not doing to get there. It's crazy. One $50,000 investment today compounded, doubling every 5 years. After 30 years, you're looking at $3.2 million. So that's just one investment. So
Right.
this this world of commercial real estate syndication is truly, an amazing thing. So I left campus ministry to do real estate work full time and have had several jobs. I'm now currently the vice president of innovation and efficiency with Rise48, helping the company across the board become more efficient and innovate, using AI, helping with systems and structures, and really just helping maximize people's time. I also still have my capital raising business, Oak and Vine Capital. So I've done 12 syndications over the last 3 years, and I'm having so much fun because at the end of the day, I'm just serving people.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's so true. Find what you're passionate about, guys, and find ways that you can use that passion to give back and to benefit the world. I do find that if your whole goal is just to get rich, you're going to find that it's not as fulfilling as you thought it is once you become rich. If your goal is to make money so that you can spend more time with your family or make a difference in a cause that you're really passionate about, that's what makes it powerful, more so than just, hey, I've got a bunch of money. But if you don't have people who you love and who love you to spend it with, money doesn't really mean that much. That's my personal 2 cents on that. That's awesome, Nick. So you're head of innovation using AI. Can you tell us a little bit about how you guys use artificial intelligence or AI in real estate? What are you guys finding you can use it for? Because Nate's coming up with some crazy fun stuff for it.
Yeah, I mean, the sky's really the limit in terms of what you can do. We're really just starting to crack open the potential power. I think when it comes to capital raising, learning how to connect with people, having custom GPTs where you're able to download your entire voice and database into a custom GPT and then interact with people. So imagine, spending several hours a day answering your email inbox, and instead, your custom GPT looks at the email message, feeds it through the programming that you've helped establish, and it gets a response to your email pre-drafted put into your email box. It's probably 80-90% of the way where you want it to go. And then you're able to come in and finish up. So, saving time so that you can spend your time on more creative, bigger picture things is a great way to do that. And it's kind of simple. Like have an AI note taker, like I see several in here, take your
Hmm.
notes for you and create integration so that afterwards people are delegated efficiently and there's follow-up mechanisms put into place. When you're on a call with a potential investor, track the call. What delegations do you need your investor to do? What things do you need to do? Put that into your CRM and be compliant when it comes to SEC purposes. So small things like that, even down to, hey, how do you have a successful meeting? If people are going to give up their time to have a meeting, don't just default to 60 minutes. Do it in 30 minutes, do it in 15 minutes. Have a clear starting time, a clear ending time. Have someone taking the notes, have someone leading the meeting, have a little timer clock so that you know how much time you're supposed to be spending on things. It's crazy what you can do with AI when it comes to underwriting, feeding in T12s, preloading those into your underwriting model, being able to, with a click of a button, underwrite a deal to see if it passes your phase 1 test. So, yeah, we're really just scratching the surface on how we can use it at Rise 48, but lots of ways to really make things more efficient so people can really multiply their time.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. I'm going to have to connect with you outside of this and do more of the underwriting side because my job within our business here is Nate networks everywhere. He brings back deals, and then I go through them and throw out 95% of them as ones that don't meet our parameters. And it's pretty easy to look at them within a few, probably like 10, 20 minutes and identify if it doesn't meet the parameters. But I'd really love if AI did more of that for me so that I can dive deep on the ones that actually have potential. Because you and I both know there's a lot of people who want you to raise deals, and a lot of them they're just not a deal. I don't know how to tell somebody that you haven't even put the work necessary to know what a deal is.
Yeah. And you can custom code even your own GPT to parse a offering memorandum and a T12 document.
Hmm.
Um, there's even custom GPTs out there that you can pre-download. So ask,
Cool.
I find myself talking to my AI. I've named him Chester. And in between drives to and from meetings, I'm creating content, I'm solving problems, I am
Hmm.
trying to ideate future ideas and then have him remind me. I mean, we're not quite to the level of Iron Man. What was Iron Man's artificial intelligent bot called?
Oh,
I'm
I don't
blanking on the name right
remember.
now. Such a great name. But anyways, we're not quite to that point, but we're pretty getting pretty close in terms of what you can do.
Hmm. That is very cool. I love it.
Yeah, I will. I'll jump in for a sec here and say that Nick gave some great training on LinkedIn, and actually, I've been implementing that like crazy. I got SuperGrow is one of the softwares that Nick talked about in his training that helps you to use AI more efficiently. And anyway, hired 10 virtual assistants to help with all this stuff. And I'm doing a lot of the same. We're on the same bandwidth, brother. I love it.
Okay, so I just chat GPT my question here. Jarvis stands for just a rather very intelligent system, which is hilarious that Tony Stark, that's what he named his virtual assistant. So, Chester, I just came up with a funny name, but one way that I use it every single day is I've custom coded my voice into a custom GPT, downloading, last several years of LinkedIn, podcasts that I've been on. I've asked myself 500 different questions, and then I've pre-coded, hey Chester, create a LinkedIn post on, and I'll talk for a few minutes on the thing I want to talk about, and it will take all the data points that I've kind of given it as parameters and spit out a potential post that you can use on LinkedIn. And I find I'm actually a better writer, using AI to get to 60, 70% of what I want to get to. And then I'm using my own intelligence to kind of get to the finish line. But Dan Martell talks about the 10-80-10 methodology, where you give someone 10% of the idea, let them get to the next 80%, and then you finish off on the last 10%. And that's a concept that's not necessarily like a technology system, but man, if more people implemented that, we'd probably be able to achieve a lot more as leaders in whatever business that we're in.
Ooh, so true. So true. I love that. So can you tell me, with real estate investing, you got started kind of with bigger pockets, which is pretty cool. And you bought a single family, well, I guess it was a duplex across the street. You started renting that one out, picked up a few more single family homes. And then you realize that, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, you realize that buying single family homes and renting them yourself, although it's a great source of income, it's finite. You can only self-manage so many single family homes before you have no time for your family. How did you get to that journey, and what caused you to cross that threshold into commercial?
Yeah, I think, my dream is to be a present husband and father, where I'm not only, providing financially, but I think your family needs your presence so much. And I just found myself getting texted. Here's an example of a text. We owned a single family house, and we had a bunch of girls living in there. And there was a light problem in one of the bedrooms. So I was like, okay, take a little video, tell me what's going on. Took a video, and I was like, "You've tried changing the light bulb?" "Oh yeah, we've tried changing the light bulb." So I was like, "Okay, great. Well, it sounds like there's a problem in the wall. I'll load up my tools. Takes a couple hours to diagnose, a couple hours to load up the tools, a couple hours to travel over there, a couple hours to interact and be a good, landlord to a person." And then, of course, I tried, well, I better just try changing the light bulb just to make sure. And sure enough, it was one of those LED bulbs. It was finicky with that lighting system. So I just wasted basically an entire day to try to replace the light bulb. And it was just like, yeah, yes, you can hire management companies to manage it, but that often cuts into your, overall potential returns. So you just get to a point where it's like, what's more important, the couple extra $100 a month or paying for it? Or is there a better vehicle to produce the wealth that you're after, to get you where you want to go? Because everyone talks about owning a single family or duplex as passive income. It's great. It was awesome for our family. We had the gift of having a lot of extra time. We didn't really have a lot of financial resources. So if you have lots of time, house hacking is maybe one of the best strategies to get started. But as that shifts, and your time becomes less and you have more disposable income to invest, there's great opportunities there. I was a college pastor. I didn't make a ton of money, but my mom had me start a Roth IRA when I was 16. And that thing got fed every single year with all the different jobs that I had. And a lot of my early investing in syndications started from using those Roth IRA dollars, converting them to a self-directed IRA and investing through that vehicle. So yeah, I think the realization was, after having multiple properties, running around with my head cut off, trying to lead a ministry and be a present husband and father, and also a good landlord, you just can't do it all, right? And you have to eventually start hiring out some of the tasks. And we just found we could get a better return on our money, putting money into these syndications and getting, double your money type situations in 3 to 5 years, where you're not only getting cash flow, but you're also getting appreciation, sharing in a portion of that, and getting some pretty good tax benefits too. So the
Mhm.
tax benefits to me feel like the secret sauce of alternative investments. And the more that you can really understand how to leverage those, for your particular situation, the more impact you can have. So we lived in Minneapolis. We are blocks away from where George Floyd happened. We were very, very active in the cleanup efforts. And we just saw, like, man, our communities are broken. The world is broken, not just in your local community, but across the world. What if there are more leaders that wanted to, set their financial freedom number, whatever that is, but then 10x it, so that you could live on 10% and then just give the rest away, to be a blessing to other people? So that's kind of the journey we're on. My wife Katie and I, we have 4 kids. We're trying to live on that mentality of getting to the point where we could live on 10% and just give the rest away.
Oh, I love that. I love your generous mentality. I love that you were a pastor, a college pastor, and you're putting that into place in the idea that where much is given, the Lord expects me to turn around and give back. Very, very awesome. Totally agree with you on that one. Can you tell me how you juggle now your work with Rise48, finding commercial deals and all that work? How do you juggle that along with being a husband and a father of four children?
Yeah, well, thankfully the leadership at Rise48 really wants to have good integration between work life balance. One of my latest posts on LinkedIn, I post pretty regularly Monday through Friday, was just about a workday shutdown ritual. So 4:30, a little alarm pops up on my computer, begin shutting down, clear out the inboxes, turn off all notifications, and kind of prepare to go home to the real job really begins, I think, when you walk in the door at home. So I take off my Apple Watch, put it on Do Not Disturb, I power off my iPhone, put it in my backpack, so that when I'm home, I really try to be home and everything else can wait till tomorrow. I think that's a beautiful thing. But you work hard during the day when it matters most, and then you work even harder when it matters the real most when it comes to being there with your friends and family. As a real estate investor, there's always emergencies that pop up. There's certain seasons where you have to work late, or there's a job that really needs your attention. And thankfully, there's ways to compensate for that. So if I'm traveling on a 3-day trip that overlaps during the week, I might take a comp day on the front end or the back end to be able to be there for Katie and the family. So I think you just have to make decisions, right? You can't always be working. It's easy because we take our devices with us and our computers home with us, and it's easy to always be working. But I find two things: that workday shutdown ritual, and then I'm not very good at this, but I'm trying to get better, Becky, setting a going to bed alarm clock. It's not
That's
even
so
as
real.
important as the wake up time, but the going to bed time, man, that changes everything. Getting good sleep, eating healthy, getting good exercise. You can't beat how much more productive you can be, running on your full capacity. So we obviously have a 16-month-old, so sometimes we have late nights or crying through the night or teething, whatever it may be. But God gives grace every day, and that's been a real blessing.
Oh, I love it. That's so perfect. Very, very, very good mindset. Thanks, Nick. And I love that you have this alarm that tells you, okay, it's time to start preparing to shut down. Because for most of us, we really struggle with that. We think, oh, I'm going to be fine at it. But you get in the middle of a project and then you look up and you realize it's already later than you thought it was. And I got to hurry and finish this. I got to hurry and finish this. That's actually a genius idea. I think I'm going to start implementing that, Nick.
There's also some pretty cool like lighting technologies. So Philips Hue makes these light bulbs, or you can like wire them into your sockets and stuff, where you can actually like start decreasing the light
Mhm.
the brightness. So kind of starting at 8:30, kind of starts getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer to kind of prepare for what that is. So I mean, technology is so cool, right? Like I
Yeah,
come in, my garage door opens, my lights turn on, my favorite playlist starts playing. Um, the air temperature has changed the way that I want it. I mean, there's so many cool things that can happen just because my phone crosses a geolocation border. My settings all go to do not disturb, and all these cool things happen. So you can really use technology to help serve your own your own self too. I got a message in here from Dustin. You want to read that?
Yeah, so we have a Q&A period that's pretty much starting right now. So we'll go ahead and bring it in. He said, I had a boss
Okay.
that called me out on having a recurring calendar reminder to log off at the end of the day. Before I did that, I would lose track of time and stay over. She didn't like that I had boundaries, I guess. Yep, time to get a different W-2 job, as in not. Yeah, you're right, Dustin. And a lot of bosses don't want that. They want you to just work while you can and put in as many hours as you're willing to put. But I agree with Nick that your family is most important. At the end of the day, no other success in life will compensate for failure in the home. And I just
I think so
truly
too.
believe
If you have
that.
a strong relationships, if you're married or, with roommates, that really is going to make you a better employee too. So I think managers and leaders would probably do themselves well to really encourage that for a lot of ways.
I agree. If you're a manager, do that. Encourage your employees and encourage your teams to have a balanced life because you can work yourself ragged for a few years. But a lot of those businesses that have people are incentivized to work really long hours and compete with each other, most of them have really high turnover within the first 5 years or so because you can only do that for a little while before you just burn out and your mental health is not at a good place. Good job, Nick. Good job balancing it out. I like that he's talking a lot about mindset, a lot about the importance of exercise and getting enough sleep, the nutrition in your body helps with your mindset of being able to be a successful real estate investor, successful spouse, successful roommate, successful human being. If your mindset's not in a good place, how are you going to be able to make a difference in the world? How are you going to be successful in your business if your mindset's not even successful? So very, very good. I like that.
And I will say too, when it comes to leading your kids or shepherding your kids, my kids will probably learn more from me through my failures than the times that I nail it. The times that I have to come back and say I'm sorry, or I was really wrong there, or I shouldn't have raised my voice, or I lost my temper. They'll probably learn a lot more from me from my failures. So the goal isn't perfection. The goal isn't like nail your schedule so that you're running at tip-top shape. We're all human, right? We have to adjust to the complexities of life and the different turns that come at us. But like this idea of grace, not only for yourself but for others, one of the most transformative things out there. I once heard someone describe what grace feels like. I think this applies to, business relationships, closing deals, people that you manage. What grace feels like, it's like you enter a room and you can do no wrong. That's what grace feels like. So my encouragement would be for people to lead and with that type of mentality. Obviously, there's certain situations where you have to, fire or let people go, but when you can give grace, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, I love it. Very, very good. Thank you, Nick. Can I, and for those of you who are on the deal or who are clients who are on here listening, we're going to have our Q&A or our questions and answer period in just a moment. So if you've got questions, please put them in the chat and we'll start those in just a moment because we're getting close to the end of time. I just had one last question I wanted to ask Nick because I like to see how people's brains solve problems.
Mm,
What is one of the most creative ways that you have solved a problem on a deal that you were running into?
mm. Okay, so the first time I transitioned from doing a 506B offering, so I've done joint ventures, 506Bs, fund to funds. It was my first 506C, so accredited only opportunity. I was scared. I was scared. Do I have enough accredited investors? Can I really do this? And you're battling with yourself. So I was like, well, if I get a business partner, then he can raise half or she can raise half and I can raise half. I'll feel a lot more comfortable. So I thought I had a business partner, lost a business partner, and started getting scared again. Tried to pursue another business partner. We got to the nth degree and we were answering all these questions, going back and forth, and it just didn't work out. And then I was like, I just started praying. I was like, God, if you want me to do this, you need to help supply the right person. And God supplied the right thing. So I would just say 50% of a deal is better than no deal at all. And having a business partner where we each had kind of some soft committed capital coming into a deal knowing that we'd hit the magic number we needed to hit was really, really helpful. So, it was a deal where it was an energy fund and we were trying to raise $1 million. We needed to hit at least 600K to kind of get the better deal economics. I know that I had 300K soft committed and my business partner had 300K. So we kind of entered the deal feeling safe. We ended up raising over $1 million. It was my first $1 million raise. But that one kind of like step of faith of pushing myself past what I think I can do, becoming the person I want to be by taking that risk. That's what you have to do. I just thought, hey, if I have a business partner and I go into this new type of offering I've never done before, with some help, with some ammunition, I'll be able to better accomplish it. So it worked out great. We raised more than we expected, almost double. And it helped me kind of launch into doing several fund to funds and several 506C deals then.
Fabulous. I like that you stretched yourself outside of what was then your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's an important part of growth. Very, very good, Nick. Excellent.
Hey, so Nick, I would like to jump in and ask a question. Tell us a little bit more about Rise48 and
Yeah.
what your role is and what other people do. We'd just like to hear about the organization. You guys are, a premier group. I mean, you're up to like 2.5 billion now, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's huge.
And tell us
Yes.
like how many complexes? Is it all apartments? Is it all? And give us a little story, a little bit more of the
Yeah.
origin of that story
Yeah.
and how all that came together. I'd love to hear all
Yeah.
that.
Humble beginnings. Zach Haptonstall, Bikram Sandhu, and Robert Chepchak are the three co-founders. And they just kind of started off doing some smaller multifamily deals, and they had a big vision that they wanted to become, one of the largest real estate companies out there. The ambition is to become larger than BlackRock. And we're on track. It's going to take a few years, but we're going to get there. So we've done 60 acquisitions now, multifamily. We focus on three markets, Phoenix, where our home office is in Scottsdale, Dallas, and then the Carolinas. We're trying hard to break into Florida. We've been underwriting deals there for a while. Haven't had anything pencil yet, but typically we're doing value add multifamily, 1980s vintage and above, looking at 150 units plus. And we're unique in that we have almost 300 W-2 employees. So we're completely vertically integrated with the acquisition arm, with the capital raising arm, with the property management. We just started an HVAC company. We're really focusing on multifamily. I think this may be the year we branch off and do some new ground up development. But we're typically working mostly 506 B offerings, 50K minimum for investors. And we just have the process really dialed in. We use the same paint colors, the same finishes, the same stainless steel appliances, but we apply what we're learning, in terms of gaining control of a supply chain and then having local teams that do all of the work in such a way where we're able to really deliver consistently on the results, which is, typically a 2x return over 3 to 5 years on a $50,000 minimum investment. So it's been a real privilege to be part of a team that's humble, hungry, and also really smart. Zach is an incredible leader, and the leadership team is doing a phenomenal job. Just continuing to focus on what we're good at. We love creating communities. We're not only delivering pretty amazing returns for our investors, but we're also creating communities. We have community directors at many of our properties, and I've toured the properties and done some, different visits. And it's amazing as I'm walking around with these community directors, from little kids to middle-aged adults to elderly people. They're waving and saying hello to these community directors as we're walking in because we're really creating communities. And I think the beautiful part is when you don't just focus on the financial returns, which we obviously have a certain return threshold that we're trying to hit, but you also focus on developing the communities. So, amenities, dog parks, upgrading pool areas, all those things, that helps create the community where people want to live there. And guess what happens? If people want to live there, there's not as much vacancy, which ends up helping your financial return. So again, when you focus on serving people, some really good things can happen. So as a capital raiser, I learned about Rise 48 a couple years ago. I raised capital on four Rise 48 deals last year and just really loved how easy they made it for capital raisers. I'm talking like drop dead simple. Like you meet with one of the members on the capital formation team, make sure it's a good fit. You upload your business information, and then you're able to raise capital either solo or you can group with other people to get better economics for your investors. And emails, templates, campaigns, marketing materials, monthly reports in your name and in your brand, happen automatically. A back end portal that's so easy for your investors to use. So we just really lower all the friction points that people need when they raise capital. And because of that, we have over 100 capital partners that raised, sometimes in upwards of 60% of the capital needed for our deals, ranging from $5 million of capital needing all the way up to 20 million on purchase prices from 20 to $80 million purchase price. So yeah, it's been amazing journey. I joined in January, and yeah, we're really just getting started.
Very awesome.
That's incredible. What a story, man. Tell us more about those 300 plus employees. This is like property management folks as well. You have your own in-house property management, or what exactly
Yeah.
is the breakdown with all
There's
those
around
folks?
80 to 100 corporate staff at the corporate headquarters that handle everything from the accounting to the financials to just leading all the different marketing. I mean, our marketing team is world class. Cassidy does a phenomenal job. And then, yeah, each city, we have a local office with local teams, property management teams, asset management teams, grounds teams, community teams. So the team at, 300 employees is quite a big company. But because of that, we're able to really control the entire process from start to finish. And our timelines are both conservative, but we have the data to back up, how many units we can flip per month to boost NOI on these individual properties. So it's having that full control has really made it, I would say, one of the keys to being able to scale as quickly as you can. So you have leaders that really find people that have the same type of drive and motivation and character, and then you give clear direction and you entrust them the work. And obviously, there's follow up and leadership, but we find people that are ambitious and hungry and driven, and because of that, we're able to grow pretty quickly.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that. It sounds like there's a lot of integration, which is what makes it so easy to capital raise with you, to work with you guys, as all your financials are available. You get them in a regular and timely manner because that's huge. I know for anyone who's ever partnered on a project, um, it's pretty important to get financials out in a timely manner so that your investors can see the transparency and understand how the deal is going rather than wondering, hey, I hope this is working.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very, very good. One of the most recent projects you who have done, can you tell us a little bit about maybe one of them that you've been a part of that you were just so surprised on how it turned out, either because it took longer than you thought or it was faster than you thought, not just on the capital raising, but the turning over of the project. Because when you buy a property, from the deals I have looked at with Rise 48, your model is to pick multifamily projects where there's room for improvement. You're not looking for the top of the line product that's already leasing at top dollar because then you don't really make money on it, right? That's like saying I
hmm
flip houses, but I'm only going to flip brand new houses. Well, what is there to flip?
hmm Yeah,
Tell
there's
us
got to
about one of the
be.
apartments you've been working on and some of the stuff you guys did and how that timeline panned out for you.
Yeah, I think the probably the one that makes most sense to talk about is Blue Ridge. It was a multifamily property, and what I liked about this particular one was just how the business plan was executed in a way where we're able to come in and our pro forma has about a 6 month delay in how quickly we're going to start rehabbing and flipping individual units, but in some ways, like what we do, it's not necessarily incredibly sexy, but it's providing that workforce type housing where we're moving these properties from a B minus type of situation to an A or an A minus type of situation. The finishes we're doing are such that it's attractive for people to want to move in and live there. So I wouldn't say there's any necessarily complexities in how it kind of came together, but where we invest is often in what's going to serve people. So putting in a gym facility, putting in a dog park, putting in new picnic areas, refinishing the deck surface. And then in the individual units, the types of finishes that we're doing are often, ripping out kitchens and walls, rehabbing those, putting in quartz countertops, subway tile backsplash, LED lighting, stainless steel appliances, renovating the bathroom facility, often adding a washer and dryer, sometimes in unit, sometimes in the exterior closet on the porch or balcony level. But those little amenity upgrades, like even washer and dryer, who doesn't want to have a washer and dryer in unit? And when you do that, you end up really serving the people, and you can often get a $50 to $100 a month bump in your rent. And $50 a month rent increase across 100 or 200 or 300 units is a incredibly substantial amount of additional profitability for you and your investor community. So we do very similar finishes, whether it's, the platinum type scope that I'm describing, or other lesser types of finishes, but most of the finishes we're doing are at that platinum level.
Nice. For those of you who are newer on the commercial space, Nick, can you explain to them why $80 a month increase in rent makes such a difference? Because
Yeah,
like,
so
oh, $80 a month, what does that mean? Show them the actual or the numbers or the estimate, explain to them how this pans out. Because I think it's super important for on our podcast, we have a handful of people who are experienced investors and well, bigger than a handful, a big group who are really experienced commercial investors. And then we have a group of people who are residential that want to move into the commercial space, and they may not fully understand why $80, an increase of $80 per month makes such a difference on the commercial side. So maybe like talk
Yeah.
about a little bit cap rates, a little bit about how the net
Yeah.
operating income has an impact there.
Can I actually share my screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Here and make you a
So this is,
co-host. If you don't understand it, it's super, super important to understand it because this is what commercial is all about. This is why it's not just about having a little bit more money per month. It makes a huge difference.
yeah. So here's a um, illustration I've used before. I love this quote. The quote: "The only way to make your present better is to make your future bigger." So the magic value equation is this one here. Your net operating income divided by the cap rate equals your value.
Mhm.
So if you can, increase your income and decrease your expenses, that's the magic way to make a multifamily apartment more profitable. So what are the ways to increase the income? You can make units nicer so they're worth more. You can add in additional things like washer and dryer units. You can bundle services, telecom services, insurance services. You could add in the ability to have pets and charge more for that. Okay, what are the ways to decrease expenses? Well, low flow shower heads, high quality toilets, being able to bundle efficiencies or have higher property management that's in-house, so it's less expensive. So those are all the different ways. Cap rate is really just the value determined in a particular area. So here's an example practically of what that can look like. So here's an example property. It's 84 units. Your monthly rental income per unit is 850. It's 12 years old, so it's a B class. It's 88% average occupancy. You know, there's a bunch of different expenses here you can put in. The average nearby sales cap rate is a 6.8. So how do you get the value? Here's the magic equation. You take your all your different sources of income, all your different sources of expenses, and you get your net operating income, 535, 684. You take that based on the cap rate. So in this particular area, we were looking at a 6.8% cap rate. So the value of this 84 unit apartment building is $7.8 million dollars. Okay. Now take the same problem, same situation, and just increase rent by $50 a month across those 84 units and watch what happens. So your income is going to increase, which means you have a larger NOI, and that $50 a month increase times 84 units divided by the cap rate is $8.5 million, dollars, meaning $50 a month across 84 units, you've just increased your value $652,000. That is the power of commercial real estate when you can do kind of simple things like how do you increase the rent of $50? Well, what types of amenity upgrades can you do? What can you do that you might already have, or ways to just increase the value of that particular property? What are the ways you can decrease the expenses for that particular unit? When you do that, you saw here a $50 a month increase across 84 units produced over $650,000 of value. And that's value for you, potentially running the deal. And it's also value for your investors too. So that's a beautiful thing. And here's the other thing. Sometimes people think that they're afraid of if I spend money and have to charge more rent for a unit, that people are going to be forced out. Ironically, a lot of people who live in these units are happy to pay more to get the nicer upgrades. Not all the times, but a lot of times that's the case. So I don't think you need to be fearful of making places nicer, especially if they haven't been renovated in 20 or 30 years. You're really creating value by doing that. You're giving jobs to the local community for contractors or for your team, and you're also making it nicer for the investors. So hopefully that was a good enough example for you, Becky.
I think that's perfect. Thank you, Nick. That is exactly what I was looking for because I always tell people on the commercial space, it's not like fixing and flipping a single family home where you're trying to make it match the neighbors and you're looking at price per square foot of what it's selling for. I have been a part of, and I've seen this done many times because I was a commercial lender for 13 years. You can actually literally just go in and raise rents and lower expenses and make a profit. I had a client who was really cool. His name was Tim. He would literally just go in and fix properties where the management wasn't managing the expenses well. Just cut expenses, get 12 months of operating statements, showing the improved expenses that are more in line with the market expenses, and then flip the property and make 300, 400. I even saw make 2 million on one of the properties by literally just improving the expense ratio on the property. There are so
Mm.
many ways to make money in real estate on the commercial side, but it's not always just remodeling the units. Usually you'll need to remodel the units in order to raise rents, but sometimes it's even easier than that. And it's cool how much of a difference it makes, isn't it, Nick?
It's amazing, yeah. And people often love all the different upgrades that you're able to do.
hmm To them, it makes a big difference because it feels like a nice place to live. They're proud of where they're living. And $50 a month for a lot of people isn't a drastic increase if they feel like their place that they're living is nicer and it's more comfortable. So, yeah, excellent. Good job. For those of you who are on here, go ahead and put your questions in the chat that you want to ask Nick. I want to make sure we don't run out of time to ask him questions as we're going. And as you put them in, we'll go ahead and ask those questions. In the meantime, I have a whole bunch of questions here. But for those of you who are on here, this is a great time to ask him questions about the commercial space, what he's learned from this process, things that maybe you can tell us, Nick, what's something you wish you would have understood about commercial real estate investing 10 years ago? And how would it have changed your trajectory of where you are now?
Yeah, I think, I mean, if you want shade, you always wish you planted the tree 10 years earlier. So I think for a lot of people, getting started now versus waiting 6 months or a year until you're quote unquote ready. You hear that phrase a lot, like get started now. I'm glad I started when I did. I'm glad I cut my teeth on that first duplex. And had I known what I know now, I probably would have shortcutted and probably start investing in these real estate syndications earlier, but it's scary to do something you've never done before. My encouragement would be find a guide. You have two great guides on here with Nate and Becky. Find someone that's gone before you and that can, shortcut your path to success by giving you the tools, tips, strategies that they've learned to help you, grow your resources and hopefully grow your impact at the same time. So get started today. Don't wait. Do that thing that's scary because I've often heard it said, like, listen for the whispers. Those whispers are often the thing that you ought to do, but you're not. So that's a helpful thing. I joined a community, Nate, who is my guide, called Kingdom REI. They're a real estate mastermind group. They're no actually no longer in existence, but there's a lot of great guides out there. Two that I would recommend are Connected Capital, with Madvi, and also Tim Mai's group, Hero Collective. Both of those groups are awesome to get started, and they've got both LP investor opportunities as well as opportunities for capital raisers. With Rise48, I would also commend the group to come check out our fundamental forum. It's a
Mhm.
free monthly gathering where you can learn from myself and Jeremy and other leaders how to get mindset training, how to raise capital, how to get involved in real estate syndication opportunities. And you can really learn from some of the best. My partner Jeremy, he's raised over $50 million in the last 2 years using a Google spreadsheet. And
So
it's amazing, like you don't have to have the most advanced systems in order to do what you've been called to do. Obviously, systems help and they're really effective, and I talk a lot about that. So come next June the 4th, that's the next one. I'm going to be talking about how to use systems to scale your business.
Oh, I like it. Can you put a link in the chat of where they can find that information for those who are interested? Because we are big fans of helping our friends and our clients learn as much as you can. The more knowledge you have, the less fearful you're going to be of jumping into real estate transactions. Because I did have someone recently tell me, she's like, I'm new in real estate and I'm a little bit nervous about jumping into a syndication. Maybe I'll do a bunch of residential fix and flips first. And that's okay if that's the route you want to go. But as Nick mentioned, that's kind of one of the harder ways to do it because you're jumping into the less profitable portion where you're putting a lot more work and time into it yourself. Whereas the syndications, what I love about that is, like he mentioned, is you just turn around the net operating income and you've got 200, 400 units or whatever it is to be able to do that with. So you're taking your expertise and you're scaling it on a large basis. But the cool thing with syndications is you don't have to be the one doing all of that work. You're putting in money, but you're learning in the process. So if you invest money in a project, make sure you are working on a project where you get monthly financials and they're walking you through what they're doing on a regular basis so that you can learn from the process. You're not just putting in money and then getting money back out later on because you won't actually learn the process of being a real estate investor if that's your goal.
One other thing I would just commend is there's an amazing amount of free information out there. Whether you have friends that have done, passive investing, there's great books. The top one I recommend is The Fundamental Investor. Um, Man, just walks you through the whole process. I just dropped a link in here to my free 7-part email series that just walks through my story and how you can get involved. Like, just find someone that's already done it and launch in. And if you're looking for a free resource, there's a free resource. But don't be afraid to invest 20, $30 in some books that are really going to help change your path. Obviously, YouTube and podcasts are great. You're not going to necessarily get the full picture in a lot of those, but you can at least get started. So my encouragement would be just little swaps. Instead of watching that show on Netflix while you're doing the dishes, listen to the Lamberts show. Listen to podcasts that are going to help you take the next step to get to where you want to be. So that'd be my encouragement.
Oh, I agree. I think the purpose of podcasts is not to teach you everything you could learn in real estate investing. I think it's to help you get your mindset to the right place, to help open your vision to what's possible. Because
Yeah.
if your podcast was all about teaching you how to do real estate, it's so nuanced. Part of it is you learn as you go. And so that's why one of our investor group, we have what's called the deal room, where twice a week they jump in for an hour each time. And you bring your deals to us and we talk about, okay, here's the hurdle you're running up against. Here's some ideas of how to overcome it, or here's
Mm,
some information you should do when you're looking into it. Because on a podcast, you can't necessarily learn everything you need to learn.
mhm,
It's
mhm.
more of a mindset thing. But yeah, I love that. Excellent. Good job, Nick. Thank you so much. Um, let's see. We talked about your guide. Nate said, who was your guide? You said the guide you worked with doesn't exist anymore. It was Kingdom Real Estate Investing or something like that, right?
Yeah, Maria. Yeah, it was a community that existed, but it's no longer there. So I would recommend Connected Capital or Hero Collective.
Hero Collective. Yep. We've done some stuff with Hero Collective and know Tim Mai pretty well. That's awesome. If you could teach your kids one lesson from real estate investing, and well, hate to say only one because there's a handful, one or two important lessons that you have learned from real estate investing, what do you think you would most want to pass on to them, Nick?
I think we're kind of doing it. Like they got to experience a couple days ago we were at our Airbnb here in Minneapolis and the kids were all doing yard work. And afterwards we got to celebrate by um having a meal and then going out on the boat. But I think they got to see like real estate isn't magical. It's not like you can invest in real estate and then automatically get rich. It's hard work. It's pulling weeds. It's landscaping. It's painting. It's doing hard things. And you get to a spot eventually where you have the resources, you have the capital. Then it's doing the hard work of due diligence and scrutinizing deals and making those hard calls and trying to be a good steward of your capital. I think at the end of the day, we're called to be good stewards. And if I can steward my capital in a way that I can truly multiply it, I'm not going to dig a hole and hide it. I'm not going to just invest it in the bank and get, measly pennies, but there's mechanisms and ways to really grow it so that um, you can really make an impact. So, for example, in all of my deals with Oak and Vine Capital, I give away a portion of my GP to different nonprofits. So the kids are starting to see some of these statements coming in from some of these nonprofits, and now the kids are starting to invest some of their money in these nonprofits. And it's cool to have that mindset of, we work hard not just to bless ourselves, but to bless other people. And we're often given more than we need so that we can share with other people. So real estate's just another vehicle, happens to be a very profitable vehicle often to help be a good steward though.
Perfect. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the nonprofits that you're passionate about? I want to inspire
Yeah,
people
then
about some ideas that are out there in case they're not really sure
yeah.
what their nonprofit passion could be.
Yeah. So there's two that I partner with right now. Campus Outreach, that was the ministry that my wife and I worked for.
Mhm.
Just coming alongside of students and helping them get to where they want to go and being a spiritual guide. This is an incredible ministry. And then another one is called Tanzania Life Project. Katie's grandpa, Jim, actually started this. He retired from Honeywell as an engineer. He was a very smart man. He helped work on some of the parts for the some of the NASA spaceships, but he chose to use his engineering brain to help solve a problem. So lots of villages in Tanzania don't have running water. So he figured out a way to dig wells and create an ecosystem for these communities to get clean water and then distribute it throughout the village, and then help women learn how to do sustainable agriculture and empower them through different means. So, um, we're all given gifts, right? Some of us are more analytical. Maybe that's more of you, Becky. Some of us are more people-centered. Not that you're not people-centered, but
But
maybe
that's
Nate's more
definitely
like
Nate.
that. Yeah, so it's like use the gifts that God has given you and share those with other people. You don't have to just think about like the only way to make an impact is if you write a big check. That's a lie. You can make a big impact by baking two loaves of bread, eating one for your family, and bringing it to your neighbor. And we often do that to some of our neighbors in our cul-de-sac. But just figure out ways that you're already doing things, and then what are the things that you enjoy doing and that you're good at, and then share that gift with other people. And sometimes it's going to be money, sometimes it's going to be time, sometimes it's going to be your talents. But figure out what those are. And there's oodles of awesome nonprofits out there that you could partner with. We're doing some investigation on some um, different child trafficking ones, and Tim and I is very connected to these groups. So we're really excited that as our real estate portfolio grows, we'll be able to be more generous to other nonprofits then.
Awesome. Very, very good. Okay, I'm just double checking, see if we have any other questions that we didn't get to. It looks like we got to all the questions that people had. Okay, well, Nick, thank you so much. Genuinely, you have been amazing, very inspiring. I really, really love that you guys are so focused on giving back to the community, to the world, and to making a difference with the blessings that God has given you. So thank you so much for sharing that and inspiring us. Yeah, Nick.
And to your children, that legacy.
Yes.
I noticed when Nick came, I want to brag on him for a minute. He actually brought his son with him. He's like 12 years old or something, Nick.
Yeah, 13. Yeah, Isaac.
13. So he brought his 13-year-old son, he was sitting with them the whole time, and it was what a cool way to expand your legacy by teaching your kids. Can closing off here, can you share a little bit of like what you're trying to do with your kids to promote this legacy down the line?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so Isaac came. This was an event in Dallas, and Rise48 has a couple buildings in the area that we've invested in. So we wanted to take some more footage. One of Isaac's gifts and fascinations is flying drones. So I got permission from the local teams to have Isaac take some drone footage. So we went and recorded some footage, and Isaac's video are now being featured to thousands of people because that's what he loves doing. So he did a fly through of one of the units we renovated. He did some over the different buildings and area fly throughs. But like just bring your kids along with the things you like to do. I think sometimes we think like I have to work and then I have to be home, but sometimes your work you could bring your kids into that. And especially as a real estate investor, there's lots of opportunities to do that. So my kids cut the grass at several of the buildings we have locally, and they're able to earn some money doing that and get to see a little bit of a picture of what it is. But I think like you have to give your kids a vision for the future so clear that they can walk into it. And everyone's so unique, and my four kids are all very different, and it's beautiful how they're each been created. So finding ways to figure out who they are and then use those things to be kind of live on purpose. So I've recently read this book. It's called The Intentional Father by John Tyson. And it helps answer the question, how do you know when your son becomes a man? What is it? Is it their first job, their first car, going to college? What is that mark? And we kind of had a marking ceremony for Isaac when he turned 13 with three of his friends and their dads and some of our dads, so some of the grandpas, where we celebrated through doing different things like a bike ride, a big feast, going to shoot guns, paintball, a marking ceremony that helps celebrate Isaac transitioning from being a boy to moving towards manhood. And it's a process. It's not an overnight thing, but
Mhm.
I commend that book. There's lots of great books out there. That one happened to be really pivotal.
Very, very good. Oh, I like that idea. That is awesome. Well, Nick, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate the insights you have shared. Guys, I've been very inspired by him, and I hope you guys have been as well. Inspired to be the best parent you can be, inspired to really grow your legacy, to teach your children how to do this, to give them ideas and opportunities. Not that they have to be real estate investors, but to allow them to open up their gifts and their talents and find ways to use that in any employment form. But real estate has so many opportunities. Like Nick mentioned, his son flies drones and takes video footage drones. Our son does accounting. He does the bookkeeping for our business. He's 15 and he's awesome at it. Just find what they're good at and teach them how to come alongside with you, learn real estate. I love that Nick focuses on giving back to the community and making a difference in the world. That is absolutely wonderful. And that he's got so much knowledge on commercial real estate, how to make them profitable, how to take a commercial property, specifically multifamily, improve the net operating income on the property, and then make money because of the sell with the improved net operating income like he was showing you. Such an inspirational message, so many great opportunities. Nick, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for listening to Real Estate to Freedom with Dr. Nate and Becky Lambert. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You can download their free ebooks and workshops by visiting realestatetoFreedom.com.